Hey everybody, what's going on? It's James here with Crypto Common Sense, and I have your Bitcoin/cryptocurrency market update for Monday, September the 28th. So before I jump into the content for this video, please do me a huge favor. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and if you haven't yet, I'd highly recommend you take advantage of my trading course. You can find a link down in the description. I will teach you all about technical analysis, which you can learn for free all over the internet. But I will also teach you about the setups that I personally created and use to trade for a living. The price in that course is going to be going up. I've been saying that for a couple of weeks. Basically shooting updated videos for 2020. A lot of the videos were from 2019, so I've been working on that. As soon as they're done, I may or may not announce the price increase. It's probably just going to happen. So if you haven't joined yet, right now you can join for just $297. And yeah. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Let's talk about cryptocurrency. And I'm going to try to keep this concise. I always say that and I end up going off on 30-minute tangents. So we'll see what I do today. So first things first, this weekly candle that just closed less than 24 hours ago, I do not view that as a bearish candle. I was very bearish last week. I was expecting more downside. September 24th is when I did the last video 4 days ago. And at the time, I was thinking it was going to go lower, probably down to 10K. Maybe get some type of balance and then go down and fill in that CME gap. But almost immediately after I uploaded that video, I ended up flipping long on Bitcoin. And it was probably about 2 hours after I did the video, I actually took a long position because things drastically change in this market very, very quickly. And that's what happened. So in the last video, I talked about Ethereum, and I talked about how it looked like it was probably going to go up and test its 50 moving average on the 4-hour chart. At the time, it was down right there on this candle here, and maybe it was this candle here, but it was down here in this area around $325, $330, and I was expecting it to go up and hit this line, which is exactly what it did. What surprised me was it broke through it, but that's another story. But what happened was once I started looking at Ethereum more after I shot the video and started looking at Bitcoin, there was also a similar situation occurring on Bitcoin, so I went ahead and flipped long, and I took that long position and basically waited for the bounce, and then I sold it on the bounce. And then I flipped short, and right now I'm actually underwater on that short. I don't know what Bitcoin's price is. It's 10,883. I'm short from around 10,709. So I'm a little underwater on that trade, but it's fine, right? I'm not panicking. I'm not closing the trade yet. Stop loss has not been hit, but I suspect it might. I suspect I might get stopped out on that one. I'm 8 for 10 on my last 10 Bitcoin trades over the last 3 or 4 days. So, if I lose one more, 8 for 11, I'm still going to be happy with that. But the reason this weekly candle does not look bearish to me is because of this huge tail, right? It came down and it pinged the 19-week moving average, which I did not like to see, right? Even as a bull, I didn't want to see it. As a bear, I didn't really want to see it either. I wanted to see it as a bear. I wanted to see it cut through it. And as a bull, I wouldn't want to see that because we're retesting a key level of support right after we just retested it. But when it pulls back like this and closes much higher, that's really a sign of strength for the bulls, right? What that says is the bears were unable to get the job done and the bulls pushed them back, right? So this move is really a bullish move, okay? And if you look at this on a bigger picture, now what you really have is you have a high and you have a higher low, right? And this very well may end up being another up move. We have to wait and see, but this is a very sketchy candle if you're a bear. This was the lower high, and so we could think, we could plan to trade it like this, but instead of doing that, what you really have now is a lower high with a higher low. So this week's candle is going to be very important because if it closes below this red candle, then it's kind of negated. But if it closes above this green candle right here, it's very possible we're going to get something like that, right? Which means we're probably going to take this out. We're 1 day into the new week. A whole lot can happen, and we're just going to have to wait and kind of see on that larger time frame. But yeah, this was very interesting to me. That week definitely caused me to pump the brakes on the short-term bearishness, okay? I'm not a bull, right? I haven't flipped bullish or anything, but I'm a lot more neutral than I was, right? If I had to choose, I'd still be a bear. Like I said, I'm still sitting in a short position, but I don't feel great about it, right? I'm fairly certain I'm probably going to get stopped out, but we'll see. If I jump down to a daily chart, I don't want to talk about all the different time frames today because I got a lot to cover. If I jump down to a daily chart, we did have this upward sloping line of support. It's really not a confirmed line yet. We don't have a third touch, but this is what may end up being support. This was a potential line of resistance, and it did close right on that line yesterday, which would have made me lean more bearish. But now we're kind of above it, so I'm going to wait and see how RSI plays out. We had the same levels that I've talked about now for months and months. We have these gaps back here, blah, 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 right? If you're new to the channel, go back and watch some of the past videos and you'll know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to beat a dead horse today. Essentially, I expect at some point these are going to fill in. That's the short of it, okay? But right now, I view this almost as a downward sloping parallel channel, okay? With this being our line of resistance and this being our line of support. And then, of course, here's our middle of the range here. Looks very much to me like this came down, found support, and like it took a bounce. And it wouldn't shock me at all at this point, right? I wasn't expecting this back here. I thought this would be the move, then more downside, even when I went long down here, right? So when I shot the last video on the 24th, it was right here. I think the day had just started. It was like maybe an hour or 2 hours into the day. And I was thinking we were going to go lower. But then after the video, I flipped long. I still didn't expect to go this high, right? I closed that long at 10.413 or 10.411, something like that. I just scalped it. Was all I was doing. I had the hiccups. It never fails. I rarely have the hiccups, but when I do one of these videos, almost every single time I get the hiccups. But yeah, this surprised me. But at this point, as high as it is, it's broke above that level that I said was important, that 10.5 level. It took it out. So it would not shock me at all to see this thing go all the way up to test this 50 moving average and the top of this parallel channel. So if it does go up there, what I'll personally be looking to do is probably add to the short position that I'm currently sitting in. And then if it continues moving up, it'll just stop me out. That's kind of how trading works. But I do view this as a downward sloping channel. So we'll kind of see how it goes. Also, if you go look at the stock market right now, the stock market has had a really big couple of days. So I also think that a lot of this move on Bitcoin is just piggybacking off of that stock market. The volume is extremely low, right? There's almost no volume right here. So low volume pumps are not to be trusted, right? Doesn't mean you automatically short them. That's not the way that works. But, you've got to be really careful trusting low volume moves, all right? You can see that the bigger volume bars since this dump started have all been the red bars, right? You get the biggest bar here is red, big red, big red, big red, right? You got some green bars here that are sizable green bars as well, but none of these green bars are as big as these big red bars, right? So what that says is, to me, and this is not me inventing this, but if you go read books on technical analysis and if you go read, books about charting and things like that, typically when you have a lot of sell volume right after a move down like this, it's indicative of distribution. What it means is the big players are selling their coins or selling their asset, and these pumps that are occurring are typically retail traders who are FOMOing back in or thinking they're buying the dip, but in reality they're probably catching falling knives. All right, so that's not going to stop me from trading it. I want to point this out, and hopefully everybody understands this by now. I try to make it clear, but I don't always do the best job. As a day trader, all these macro movements, they really don't mean a whole lot to me, right? For my day-to-day, my income, this doesn't matter because a weekly chart or a daily chart doesn't affect me on a 5 or 15 minute time frame, right? It affects where I invest my money. It affects when I feel comfortable buying and holding spot Bitcoin, or where I sell and take profits on my spot Bitcoin. But it does not affect my day-to-day trading, right? If I go and look at the last 10 trades I did on Bitcoin, it's probably about 50% longs and about 50% shorts. And sometimes in a single day, I might, in a busy day, I might take as many as 8 to 10 trades in one day, right? And it's not every day, but there are busy days where my Discord has seen this happen, right? Where I'm taking like 8 trades in a day, and 5 of them might be long and 3 of them might be short, or 7 of them might be short and 1 might be long. It just depends on the day and what's going on in those smaller time frames, okay? But I think that this move is probably more bearish than anything else. We'll have to wait and see how it unfolds. If I jump down to an hourly chart here, and I don't put a lot of stock in the hourly for bigger time frame moves, but this is something I am kind of watching right? This does kind of look like a rising wedge to me, and this looks like it tested the top of the wedge. It also looks like tweezer tops to me, which are all bearish signals. So we'll see whether or not this is going to fall at the bottom of that wedge or whether it's going to move on up. Even though it's an hourly chart, the reason that I'm paying attention to it is because it's a fairly big rising wedge, right? It's about $465. So hypothetically, if it did fall out sometime, third time's a charm. There we go. If it did fall out sometime today, it could give us a target down around, like 10.3, 10.4, somewhere in that ballpark. And that target makes sense to me because you do have a great big gap, right? One of these liquidity gaps on the hourly chart sitting right down here, right? See it? So that's kind of what I expect to happen, but there's not enough meat there on that bone for me to take it and trade it. I'll just sit on the short that I'm currently in and we'll see how it goes. Back here, this line that you're looking sloping down, this was actually, I was hedged for just a little while yesterday. So I was in that short. I've been in the short for a couple of days, but yesterday I did take out a long position down here on this candle, and I did ride that up to 10.762, which is basically, I was waiting for this gap here to fill in. So I had a profit order on that long, right? I went grocery shopping while I was gone. The profit order got filled, and then it pulled back, and then I never opened another long. I'm still sitting in the short. So, and if you're confused, I was long and short at the same time, right? I was short from a couple of days ago on a swing trade, and I was long on a day trade, right? So this, all this right here happened while I was sleeping. I know it was only 7 o'clock, but I went to bed at 5 o'clock yesterday. I didn't feel well. I was sick. I think I got food poisoning or something. So I missed all this action. But yeah, we'll see, right? We'll see. Bitcoin looks very, very interesting right now. If I jump over to the stock market, I'm not going to go real deep into the stock market today, other than to say this thing is just really, really hard to pin down right now, right? Every time it starts to falter over the last 6 months or so, they start talking about new stimulus packages, and they start, talking about more government bailouts and handouts and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about the stock market. I know what the technical analysis says, but it's not crypto. It doesn't move near as fast as crypto. And the other thing is, crypto is mainly technical analysis, which is funny because a lot of people say, oh, technical analysis doesn't work in crypto. It does, and it works better in crypto because there's not all the fundamentals, right? A lot of the stuff is just straight up technical analysis. But when you start talking about things like the stock market, technical analysis works, but you've got to be careful getting, too overconfident, because you can have a beautiful setup like this head and shoulders, and this looks like a perfect bearish retest, but suddenly if the Fed announces that or the government announces that they're going to be handing out thousands of dollars in free stimulus money, this thing could just skyrocket right through all that all over again. So right now it seems to be that the NASDAQ is yanking all this up. The NASDAQ is having a really big rally over the last 3 or 4 days. And I think the rest of these markets are just riding NASDAQ's coattails. So we'll see. And again, I think crypto is just riding the coattails of the stock market, which is really unfortunate because it's supposed to be a quote unquote store of value or safe haven asset, and it's not behaving like a safe haven at all. It's behaving like a correlated asset, which means that when the stock market goes up, Bitcoin goes up. It also means when the stock market goes down, Bitcoin goes down. Well, that's not what you want if you're a crypto fan, because most crypto fans will readily admit they think the stock market's going to crash, right? So you can't be a fan of correlation and be a Bitcoin bull, because if the stock market crashes, it's going to yank Bitcoin down with it if they're correlated, right? So what I can do is I can put this on a daily chart, and you'll see for yourself how correlated these actually are, right? So this is the stock market, is the candlestick chart. We can put it on a line chart, right? And the orange line is Bitcoin. The blue line is the NASDAQ, okay? So we go back to, where do you want to go back to, right? Back here. Let's go back here. Back here in 2017, look at this. You're not seeing a correlation there, right? Bitcoin is completely doing its own thing. There's no doubt in my mind that they were not correlated back then. Then you get the CME involved, right? And you start getting some of the same players involved. and suddenly the picture starts changing, right? You've got Bitcoin doing its thing. Right here, the NASDAQ drops, Bitcoin drops down to its bottom. NASDAQ rallies back, Bitcoin rallies back. The rally on Bitcoin was bigger, no doubt about it, but they both rallied off the same bottoms, right? They both bottomed in the same general ballpark. Even through here, I didn't think it was all that correlated. I thought it was probably coincidence and not much more. But then you come to this year and it's gotten ridiculous. Here's the March dump, right? Look at this. Boom. Boom, right? Here's the pump in the stock market since then. Here's the pump in crypto since then, right? Here's the dump in the stock market last week. Or, well, a couple weeks ago it started. Here's the dump in crypto. Boom, right? Had the little pump, had the little pump, had the dump, had the dump, had the pump, had the pump. These are now married, right? They are completely tied together and completely correlated ever since March, right? Why that is, I do not know. I don't know, and I don't like it, right? Because one of the things that always felt cool about crypto was that even if the stock market crashed, it was like it doesn't matter because you still have crypto. I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like if crypto crashes, if the stock market crashes, crypto's going to crash with it. And guys, that right there is the main reason that I'm so bearish, right? I think that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a whole has been exposed, and that the store value narrative is no longer accurate, okay? So we'll see how it goes, right? I don't claim to be a stock expert by any stretch of the imagination, but, it's like crypto. I can day trade it and, focus on those day trades and not worry too much about the macro picture as far as my income goes. When I'm looking at macro pictures and I'm looking at this big picture stuff, it's because I'm trying to find where I want to invest, right? I want to try to find a place where I can put money in and let that money grow passively. And right now, it's very difficult to put money in any of these markets because the stock market is just so overvalued right now. And if the stock market has a hard correction or crash, and if Bitcoin is correlated, then chances are Bitcoin's going to dump too. So that's the reason that I don't want to be putting in money into crypto. Okay. I had a bunch of other stuff planned, but to be totally transparent, I shot this video once before and I did ramble on for 45 minutes and it took up a lot of the day. So I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up there. I hope you guys enjoyed that. The major takeaway right now is I think it's a very cloudy picture. And I think for me personally, the best thing I can do is just sit back and wait. As the old cliche goes, when in doubt, stay out. All right. Please remember that I am just some guy sitting in a spare bedroom, so nothing in this video is financial advice. Nothing in this video is trade advice. You should always do your own due diligence and seek out professional investment advice from a licensed financial advisor before making any type of investment in cryptocurrency, the stock market, or precious metals. If you haven't already, please be sure and give the video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And again, don't forget to check the description for a link where you can join my trading course to learn both technical analysis and the setups that I personally created and use to trade for a living. This is James with Crypto Common Sense reminding you to please trade safe.